Hi everyone, it's Jessica here and welcome back to another card making tutorial. Today I have a really special project to share with you because it's a wedding card for my friend. She's getting married really soon and I'm so happy for her, so I decided to make a really fun shaker card. So let's begin. I will be using the stamp set called Oh Happy Birds from Mama Elephant. It has a lot of cute critters and some really gorgeous sentiment stamps. And I'll be stamping them with my Memento inks today because I'll be coloring them with my Copic markers later. So after stamping and die cutting, you can then start to color. I am not going to show the coloring process today, just a little bit because some of the images are really tiny, so I think you don't really need a lot of skills. You just find like a darker tone, a medium tone, and a lighter tone to kind of shade the objects that you want to color. Now again, because we are using the Memento ink line, it is compatible with the Copic markers so that they won't have any bleeding or any smudging of the ink. Now moving on to the background, I die cut some watercolor cardstock using this really cool background die. It has some stitching around the edges and also some of the real cuts in the middle hillside portion. I won't be using this die cut panel as is though. I'm going to modify it a little bit and cut away the upper portion so that I can turn it into a shaker card eventually. Now we can begin to ink blend, but before we start, remember to mask off any areas where you don't want ink blending. And in this case, I'll be masking off the outer white frame, plus the area that I have already ink blended. For the colors, I chose Lulu Lavender, Angel Pink, and Paris Dusk. They're very dreamy colors, I feel like, that gives kind of a really romantic vibe to the card. Originally, I wanted to do like just a grassy area, but I have already colored the little birds in a tealish blue color, and they didn't match the green that I chose for, so I actually redid this portion and I recolored them in this really pastel-y color combo. So this is what it looks like after the ink blending process. Then we can ink blend a little bit more for the shaker window background. But for this time, I'm going to use some shimmery ink pads. I tested a bunch of colors and ink blended on this piece of navy cardstock. Here you can see that for the first one, I chose Rose Gold Delicata ink because I wanted to have a pinkish tone that matches the hills portion we ink blended before. But as you can see here, it's more like a champagne gold color, so it's not really the pink that I was looking for. For the next color combination, it's actually the third border that you see here. I actually used pink shimmer and ruby red together. It was actually a happy accident because originally I didn't think about combining and ink blending on top of each other. I was just ink blending ruby red by itself, and you can see in this little corner here, it's too dark and it doesn't really stand out on the dark background. But it actually overlapped with the pink shimmer that I was originally trying to see if it will actually be a pinkish hue. And the overlap portion actually created a really dreamy pink that I was looking for. As a little bonus, I also tried out some of the inks from the Encore line. It's another shimmery ink pad, but I would say they have a more metallic finish. If you are interested in the Delicata inks or the Encore inks or just any of the shimmery ink pads in general, I highly recommend you to check out this video I did before where it compares all of the shimmery ink pads. So these two that I mentioned and also the Brilliance ink line. Here I am just showing you what pink shimmer would have looked like by itself if you ink blended on a darker background. It actually looks more like a silvery color to me, so I didn't really see any of the pinkish color. But if we combine it with ruby red, this is how I created that pinkish tone on this really dark background. As a final touch for the background, I also splatter on some white acrylic paint so that it kind of looks like stars in the sky. Now we are ready to make the shaker window. First, you'll need a piece of plastic. You can use an acetate sheet or just any packaging that you have recycled. And after you've cut it to size, you can then stamp on it. So here I am using StazOn Pigment in Snowflake, which is the white color, and I'm stamping this really pretty sentiment on here. StazOn Pigment is definitely the go-to ink when you are stamping on slick surface, like on plastic or glass or metal pieces. It dries very quickly and also gives really nice ink coverage. And that's kind of like the thing that is very special about this ink, because you don't get that when you are stamping with pigment inks or dye inks, because they don't dry on plastic and the ink usually beads up. However, because it's a more special ink, you do need to use the StazOn Cleaner to clean off your stamps. I usually just use this dauber. I dab it on and wait for a couple of seconds and then use my chamois to clean it off real good. I also made this little piece right here, which is kind of like a walkway for the little bird couple. It's a piece of printed vellum that I cut to this shape, and I also spritz on some sheer shimmer in sparkle just to give it a touch of shimmer. After that, we are finally ready to put together all the pieces, and this is what the shaker card looks like so far. The very final step would just be to mount the entire panel with fun foam and also add in some sequins so that it will become the shaker bits. Then you can adhere everything together, and this is the final card. I am so obsessed with shaking it around. I think it's super cute. I spent so much time designing the layout, picking out the colors, making sure that the sentiment and everything comes together nicely, and it's just so satisfying to see it come together in the end. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did making it. If you liked it, I would really appreciate if you can give it a thumbs up or leave a comment below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye!